Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of At the Movies with William Fletcher. As per usual, I am your host, William Fletcher, and as per usual, I am joined by Harry Jobson,
What it do? I
and
don't know what I
Barney.
did there.
And Barney, unfortunately, could not make it this week, but he did say that he will hopefully that he wants to do the next two episodes after this, so he should be on. Hopefully. And so this week is going to be a part one of a massive retrospective looking at the entire career of Christopher Nolan.
Chrissy and dude, I
So
quite like Christopher Nolan.
yeah, I think for a lot of over the next 3 weeks, we're gonna be very positive, or at least some of us will be very positive. Certainly about certain films will be very positive, and So we're going to be looking at this. So this week we're going to be looking at Following, Memento, Insomnia, and Batman Begins. Now, I did not get an opportunity to watch Insomnia for this,
And
unfortunately.
I didn't get an opportunity to watch Following, so we're gonna have
So
to cover each other.
yeah,
Their
and
story.
Barney is not here to even us out because he's seen all of Nolan's films, so he would have been the third one to help create more of a discussion. But that's fine. We will just
Move
he'll
forward.
yeah,
Charge forth.
and we'll just if he's on next week, we'll briefly touch on them then, just to get his quick thoughts on those films. But yeah, Christopher Nolan, I'm a very big fan of most of his films. There's a lot of online dislike. Well, I don't know if it's online. It's just the circles that I'm within and talking to people about film. They're very much anti-Nolan. They don't like what Nolan does. And I'm not even talking about like his recent stuff. I'm just talking about in general. They don't like Nolan. They think he's very film bro-y, which he arguably is. But I don't like the term film bro because it's of the most wishy-washy, poorly fucking
Yeah.
defined like term. It's like thriller. Like I don't understand like a
Yeah.
thriller film. It's so poorly defined and and people misuse it as well. Like I just don't
I
like it because it's not because I guess I fall under the term film bro. I guess, but I don't
yeah.
because
Yeah,
I
but
just
like
like
at, at the
popular
same time,
films made by
at,
men.
at,
Like
at the same time, film bro culture has gone less from being interested in popular films that are made by male directors or screenwriters or producers. It's not just
Mhm.
about liking Fight Club or Interstellar or Memento. It's
And I mean I like
film,
those films.
yeah, but film bro culture is more turned into the idealization of the deeply flawed characters. Film bros
Mm.
nowadays, you'll find go, oh, I want to be Patrick Bateman and oh, because he's such like an epic Giga Chad, and oh, how cool is fucking Brad
Yeah.
Pitt in Fight Club? Oh, we need a first rule of fight. It's like, come on, bro. You
And
look like you belong in the
idolizing Jordan
Breakfast Club,
Belfort.
like yeah,
Yeah,
or idolizing Jordan Belfort. Don't get me wrong. I like The Wolf of Wall Street. Doesn't make me want to do 20 Quaaludes a day. Like what? That's so
exactly.
stupid. But yeah, I
Mm.
think, and you'll find these are like
Also,
these
500
are
Days
not
of Summer
shots that
also I think
yeah
kind of falls under that as well with
has that idealization as well. Yeah, I find that that a lot of these people that will criticize Nolan for creating films that are either purposefully dense or um
are trying new things
try
with the
try to
form.
purposefully ambitious
Yeah,
are
exactly.
the same people that will preach Wes Anderson is the purest filmmaker. I like Wes Anderson, but I can only take so much of this like like symmetry like symmetrical sort of, you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
I
And it's
think
that
that
warm tone symmetrical
yeah,
like
and the thing
50s
about
vibe.
and the thing with Wes Anderson is it's not like he's doing anything that interesting. Like people like he's got perfectly symmetrical shots, and it's like, well, Kubrick was doing that, and Kubrick is
Yeah,
an infinitely better filmmaker,
yeah,
But I think, and yeah, I just think Nolan gets a lot of unfair criticism because a couple of his films aren't as good, and the people who criticize Nolan will then turn around and say, Greta Gerwig is this monumentally great, outstanding filmmaker, and then I've watched her films. I don't really get it because it's like Lady Bird is just every coming of age story I've ever seen in my
yeah.
life. And Little Women is an adaptation of a book, which I have not read, but they've adapted it several times already. And then she's got Barbie, which, I mean, sounds less interesting now that I know it's not like the Truman Show.
Oh,
like,
what?
I I thought Barbie was going to be a Truman Show esque type thing, and that would have been great. I think that would have been really great, but it's not
I'm
apparently, which
so
is less
uh,
disappointing.
I I love the meme factor of, oh, all the boys going to Barbie. We need to see Barbie because Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie. We love Margot Robbie. Like, we need to go watch Barbie. We got to dress up in suits and be all serious. And it's like, and the double feature because they're releasing the same day as Oppenheimer. I don't think I've been as excited for a film as Oppenheimer as since like Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, not as excited, but just excited. Like, I'm just keen. I it oh Oppenheimer looks so
Yeah, I
good.
mean that's what we're tying
Uh
this three-part look into, is we're tying it into um Oppenheimer, and which we will then discuss in the review of the year. By the time we'll have all seen it, I'm probably going to see Oppenheimer and Barbie on the same day, just because if I go to a cinema, I like to do a double bill. I like to see two movies at once in a day if I can. Um, but yeah, as we get on through Nolan's career, I have been less into his films. I don't dislike many of his films, but I'm definitely the latter days, I think, are not as great. But we'll get on to that at a future point. So, first off, his first film, Following. Harry hasn't seen it. I watched it yesterday. It's fine. I think I enjoy watching films from filmmakers, like their early films where they had no money to make a film with, and so that the films are very cheap, and you can clearly tell that the films are very, very cheap. And you very much get that with Following. There's like a scene where a guy gets punched over like a table or something, and it's the
yeah,
most like overly choreographed. Like he's just, because they're cutting around. Like you don't. There's not like a shot where you see him fall. He like leans over the table, and then it cuts from a different angle, and he slowly falls over, and then it cuts again, and he like hits the ground or something. It's very like,
yeah,
oh, they don't have the budget to hire a stuntman or anything to do it properly, so it just looks very shaky. But um I'm willing to forgive early films for being shit because I think that's
their early
fair.
films. Yeah. And
um
you do see that carry over a bit following into Memento of that
mhm,
jump cut style, but I think Memento
yeah,
it's works well with the narrative.
yeah. So following, there's not. I don't really have a whole lot to say on it. I could probably just move on very quickly, but it's a decent like debut
Entry.
film. It's and you could sort of see the themes and ideas that Nolan loves playing with later, like distortion of time. Nolan loves using time. Um, in like every single one of his films, basically, time is a big part of of the film in some way. Generally, whether it's like time travel or it's just Memento, how that plays with time and that kind of thing. So I think it yeah, I give it a 7 out of 10. It's a very weak 7 out of 10, but it is
Yeah.
it's a decent debut. It's not the greatest debut film or anything, but I think there's enough that it's worth watching if you're a fan of Nolan, and if you're interested in film, it's worth watching just to see what he was able to do with like $6,000 or whatever it was that he used to make that film. But anyway, it's a decent film. That's really all I've got to say. And then the second film, Memento, which I have touched on this show before. For the 100th episode, I recorded a commentary track for it, and I believe I've said multiple times in the past that it is my favorite film of all time. And that is, I don't know if controversial is the word,
Yeah.
but it definitely helps people label me as a film bro, which is bullshit. Because it's like, I'm sorry that I just love an objectively wonderfully written film. Like the script
Yeah.
is
Well,
one of the
what
best ever, I
I
would
and
argue.
I know I will. I don't really. I'm in the circles, but I don't pay attention. I come on. I come onto this show to provide the perspective of the common man who
Hmm.
also studied a little bit of film and is quite interested in it. But also, like, I come from that ilk of like when I say my favorite films are Dumb and Dumber and like stuff like that. People give me a certain look. Um, but I watched Memento for the first time for this, and
Mm.
people will be flabbergasted for that. But we all have gaps, and this may be one of the films that just sort of slipped.
Yeah, I mean, you hadn't
And
seen Indiana Jones. I mean, I don't know
oh
if you.
yeah, yeah, well, we all have our gaps. Like Indiana Jones is probably the largest glaring gap. I filmed for the first time, and I don't think a film has sat with me more afterwards. I went on to
Oh.
watch Batman Begins after this, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm still thinking about it 30 minutes into the other film. Like, and I gave myself a break in between. I went to Woolworths and grabbed snacks. Like, I went to Woolworths because I had to get milk, but I was like, oh, I'll go get a packet of little mini Oreos to watch with Batman. And the entire time, all I was thinking about was Memento. And I'm because when I first watched it, I was similar to those people that criticize film bro culture, and I was like, he's trying to. It felt like he's trying to be ambitious. It felt like this, and the more I watched it, oh, the more it sat with me, the more I was like, oh, but it works though. It works so well though, and like, and it handles like the tone of the film very well. There's only probably one scene in the whole film that I actually laugh at, and it's the scene where he kicks down the wrong door and then he's just like sorry and closes it. And I'm like, because he reads the note and wants to go kick down door number 9, but
Mm.
he accidentally kicks down 6 because he's reading the note upside down,
Yeah.
and then he flips it and he's like, oh, and then closes the door and goes and um. But yeah, I went in with the perspective of knowing that this is psychological, and I was somewhat looking for the shtick, the Nolan shtick,
Oh yeah.
which there's one almost every film besides I feel like Insomnia, but
Mm.
yeah, I was looking for that one thing and it was about 20 minutes into the film that I
Yeah.
first realized I was like, oh. So I was like, oh, so when it's black and white, time moves forward, and when it's
Yeah.
real color, time moves backward. And then
Hmm.
the entire film up until that point, I was just waiting until they merge, and I was like waiting until they sync, and I was like, that's really cool. Like the whole idea of like waking up and going like, why am I holding a bottle of water? Like, I don't feel drunk.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's so cool. It's
yeah.
so cool, man.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, I know there is a chronological cut of the film where the footage has been put in like the correct order. And apparently for people who have seen it, it doesn't actually ruin the film. Like the film still works very well even with like removing the gimmick. I haven't seen it myself, but it apparently still works. But I think is
The gimmick
insane.
is so cool.
Yeah, the gimmick is incredible, but I think it's a testament to how great a film it is that the gimmick still like that the gimmick can be removed and the film still works. Like
The narrative does not hinge on the idea
no, it doesn't.
of
I
the
probably
gimmick.
wouldn't
Yeah.
like it as much without the gimmick. I think the gimmick does a bit to help it.
Well, because
But
it stylizes it really well. Like
yeah, but
it's a beautiful stylization.
yeah, but I still think it is. Yeah, I is it? I might honestly, it might be the best screenplay ever written, in my opinion. I'm trying to think of like what else I would say is better.
Bullet
Maybe
Train.
like yeah.
I'd say Bullet Train.
But like Shaun of the Dead, I think is another
I think
objectively perfect,
Hot
and
Fuzz
Hot Fuzz
is
as well.
better than
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead though.
Oh, I mean, I definitely prefer Hot Fuzz over Shaun of the. I haven't seen Shaun of the Dead recently enough, but I do prefer Hot Fuzz to Shaun of the Dead. I'd
I think
say
Truman
Inglorious
Show is a near
Bastards.
flawless.
The
Truman
Truman
Show
Shows
for me
is
is flawless,
yeah,
but
a near flawless script.
yeah, there are a
But
few
yeah,
out there, but I think Memento is one.
I think it's
Kind of, yeah.
a film you can't really fault beyond just being nitpicky. Like, and I don't know if this is my own sort of bias coming through, but I don't think there is like valid criticism you could make. Like, I think generally most films there is valid criticism you could have on like most films, but I don't think that is a thing with Memento. I don't think like I can't. I did not rewatch it because I've seen it a few times already, and I didn't feel like I needed to watch it anyway because I've seen it relatively recently enough. But I just think it's a film that you can't
Yeah,
really
because
fault.
I'm thinking about like the only fault I had with it was the shtick, and that was because I felt like it was being too purposeful, and it wasn't until I actually thought about it and I was like, but it works though, and I actually really liked it, and I maybe shouldn't try to be nitpicky and be an asshole because yeah, like I don't know. I'm trying to think of a negative I have about this film. The whole like photos, the like tattoos,
It's
that everything.
just
It's
everything about the film
the
comes together,
my
and it's
favorite performance was Joe Joe Pantalone. Yeah,
Pantheon. Yeah, I think he's.
it's Pantilono, Pantiolano, I don't know.
Let me look how his
I've got to
name's.
Google it. Yeah, but
I gotta
it's
I don't Pantoliano.
Pantoliano. Yeah, Joe Pantoliano playing Teddy Gamble. Because to be
Yeah,
honest, when I was watching it, I was like, I could fully believe that guy's a rapist. Like, he looks, he looks just squeamy and evil, like doesn't he? And but I
I
also
mean
think
that mustache doesn't help.
the whole idea of starting the film at the end of the film is so sick. Like,
Oh, it's a brilliant. Yeah, it's a wonderful concept. This is
but
one of those films that when I first saw it. So I saw this from sort of my history of seeing this film. I think I've seen this film 4 times. I think. So I saw it when I was overseas in Germany, and then I
yeah,
rewatched it like the day after. Like, yeah, I rewatched it the day after I first watched it, which I never do with films. And then I rewatched it before Tenet came out, and then I rewatched it for this podcast for the commentary track. So I've seen it 4 times now. Um,
yeah.
and I mean, it just is still great. Like, it's just, and it's a very perfect example, I think, of setup and we talked about Back to the Future several weeks ago and how the first film was a one, setup and payoff
Yeah.
beautifully done in that film, and I think Memento is another one of those, and I
Important because it gives off a bit. It says it's a mystery thriller, but again,
mhm.
we don't accept that term around these parts, partner.
No, I don't like the
Like
term thriller because
trying to be a psychological sort of almost like a who done it. Because
yeah,
it
it
is almost
is.
a who done
It
it.
basically it is. I mean, that's the whole point is he's trying to find out who killed his wife.
Done
You
it,
know.
yeah. But the whole idea, like at the like the I because we're fed the film through an unreliable narrator, and you hear it all the time. Like, oh, it's an unreliable narrator. It's an unreliable narrator. You see it in sitcoms. Look, a lot of people, there is a genuine theory, and like it is long running too, that for the How I Met Your Mother like tenure of the show, they believe that Ted is an unreliable narrator, and that really he was the bad guy and Barney was the good guy, but he just wanted to make Barney look bad so that his kids would not like Barney, so he could end up with Robin. And I'm like, it's the craziest idea to like have that depth in that sort of show. But for this, like to have, because obviously the Guy Pearce's Leonard Shelby, which I think is really great, is completely unreliable. He can't remember anything past 5 minutes. Like he can't create new memories, and he's constantly sort of waking up. It
which
is an
just
unreliable
is
narrator. You
an
trust,
awful idea. Like the
yeah,
ability, the idea that you can never truly change, or you can never truly learn or grow as a person. You know.
yeah. But the idea of that, and then at the end of the film, as an audience member, you've just been fed all the information from this narrator, and you want to believe him because you feel bad for him. We're told everything from Teddy, and up until this point, we've been told that Teddy's the guy, and he looks like the guy. I feel bad for Joe. Like, I'm not going to try the last name again,
I
but
mean,
I
maybe that's
feel
the
bad.
point. Is we're meant to think it. Like, well, I
But
mean,
but then Teddy tells us all this information, and we're supposed to sit there and just eat it. We're just supposed to be like, "Yep, we believe you." And then a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't believe Teddy and believe that he's actually the guy. And which I always thought was like, which I'm now thinking, I thought last night and this morning was quite silly, considering he gains absolutely zero benefit from revealing the truth to Lenny. Like, there's no benefit there because he's going to forget
yeah,
it. So,
he's gonna
like,
forget it. Yeah.
he has no benefit from lying. Might as well tell the truth. Like, it doesn't matter. So, which does lead to his downfall because like the film does such a good job on like commentating on how we all lie to ourselves to cope and to like our daily lives. A lot of us are just lying to ourselves about whatever it is, but that's not always, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I think in this case, well, it is like it shows the negatives because he directly lies to his future self, which ends up in the death of pretty much his only friend. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean I think the opening moment where it's the footage going back in time and he's like shaking the Polaroid or whatever and it's going backwards and
yeah,
then like I mean the I just love that it just sort of has it has like those 10-15 minute chunks or whatever of just something happening and I love how it all connects back through it, you know, sort of like we begin one chunk of it and he's running from someone or he's like or I'm chasing this guy and then he runs at him and it's like oh no he's chasing me and then like I think like that's
yeah.
great and you know he's got the scratches on his face as well and you know oh there's the really gross bit where she spits in his drink or whatever and he spits in the
They're all
drink
spitting in the cup, yeah.
it's very it's quite
If you don't like
gross.
spit, then yeah.
It's
If you're
just
into
very
that, you're into
unsanitary.
that. But like,
Yeah, I mean they just get a random guy from the bar to do it, which I think is very unsanitary and arguably quite unsafe. This film just it's just I can't fault it. Like I on every level that it's working at, I think even like performance wise, I'm not gonna be praising Nolan at later points for being a great character director. Like the characters feel very sort of which is fine. I don't need all characters to be the most incredibly realized, incredibly
and
well
dense,
crafted,
yeah.
and that's fine. But I think Guy Pearce is a really great lead, and I just love how yeah he at first he's a very sympathetic character, and then by the end we just find out oh no he's just lying to himself and there's that I love the reveal where it finds out that he was the one who killed his wife. You know
Kind
he
of still don't feel like he killed his wife. Like I know he did. I know he did physically, but he didn't mentally. So like
No, it does. It's not this. It doesn't. Yeah, count. And
I don't think
which
he didn't kill his wife. What he's become is killed his wife, which is the whole point of the film. It's like Leonard Shelby is who you were. That's not who you are.
yeah,
He's such
and
like a cool.
yeah, and it's like how this sort of his wife getting assaulted or whatever. It's this whole knock on effect of because now he loses his memory and then he it's this knock on effect, domino effect, of all
Yeah,
these other terrible things that happen because of it, and yeah, and Lynn's films where there's a dead wife, that's very common in his filmography, or there's a woman dies to further a male character's journey, which some may criticize. I don't think it matters really. I don't read it
yeah. I don't
as
think it's
like
that
a.
deep.
I think because I think a lot of people read Nolan films to be very sexist, and I don't. I think I don't think it matters really
Yeah, I
that
mean the guy. It could be there could be a homosexual relationship.
I
It
mean
could
yeah
be just a
it's
friend
not.
who dies. Like it does. I think it's just because of the whole idea that well the characters that are in these films are attracted to
Yeah,
women and they're the most important people and they die. Anyone who's the most important person or one of the most important people in your life dying is going to affect you. Like
yeah. I don't
whether
think it's. Yeah, I think it's not a fair criticism to make of Nolan. I think it's just I don't think and it's not like he's the first director who's ever used a woman dying to further another character's plot.
almost
and
all movies like
yeah, exactly. Films have been doing this for years, and I know, and I think it's I think Nolan does think people just want to be upset with Christopher Nolan about things and want to criticize his films, and it's just I don't think it matters. Who cares that a female character's dying? It's characters die all the time to further other characters' plots. I don't think it's a gendered thing. I
yeah
don't think it really matters. It doesn't bother me. Um, and maybe because we're coming at this from
a guy's
uh,
perspective.
a male perspective. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But I generally don't think. It feels. It's like how Quentin Tarantino, for example, was getting criticized for Django Unchained, for all the racial slurs used, and I'm I don't think that's very
But it's
fair.
appropriate for the film. It's inappropriate to use in any other context. But when
Yeah,
you're
but for the
creating a
film,
film, a fictional narrative, and it is about freedom of
slavery.
slavery, to
Of
act like that word didn't exist back then would be ridiculous.
yeah,
And like
I,
I do think Leo was enjoying it a bit too much. um, no, but yeah, I'm completely in the boat with you when I feel as if it's completely an unfair criticism that you're finding a reason or making up a reason to not like someone.
there's
Like
no
I
real
just
evidence, by the way. I don't think Nolan is a sexist or anything. I just think he's more
so is the
focused.
is the idea behind it that he kills his female characters?
I think it's more that the female characters are underdeveloped, and I'd argue most of his characters kind of are. His films aren't known,
Yeah,
from
most of
my
the characters
perspective,
that
for,
aren't the protagonists are completely underdeveloped. I was watching
and
Memento and I was like, the bloody a lot of the most development went to Leonard and bloody Sammy, who didn't exist.
yeah,
Like,
because Teddy's just there, reactive. Yeah, and I just think Nolan that yeah, people sort of want to find a sort of scapegoat, I guess, to be like, hey, look at Nolan, he's this, and I don't think that's fair, and I think Tarantino's another one where people want to find a reason to dislike Tarantino as a
yeah, it's like,
filmmaker.
oh, he sexualizes women by putting feet in his films, and I'm like, I mean, they don't have to
There's
put their feet out in the film. He's
it,
openly said he has a foot fetish. I just don't know why people read so deeply into these things when I feel like it's
No,
not
I
that deep.
don't. I think it's weird to think that Nolan doesn't like women or something. Or well, I think well, to be fair, I do think a lot of it is kind of a joke. But I think there are some people who actually take it very
Genuinely believe
seriously.
it, yeah.
And I think, like, well, no. I mean, we've gone on this point long enough, I think, but I just think there is, like, yeah, I mean, in general, I think there's unfair criticism made of a lot of filmmakers. Certainly a lot of, I mean, Nolan's one, James Cameron, Quentin Tarantino, all these kinds of male directors who, like, and I'm not saying there aren't problems with their films. I just think people are looking at the wrong problems and are trying to make
Yeah,
up reasons to criticize them, and I don't think that's fair. Like, but and I'm not trying to make this like a gender thing or anything, but I just think there are valid criticisms you can make of certain filmmakers, and I just don't think people do. I think in general, film criticism, a lot of people are not capable of making sort of valid criticism
yeah.
and are trying to
And they say
either
just because, yeah, and it's like,
yeah, I don't like that. Like, if you don't like a film or you don't like a director, that's fine. Can you just explain why? And that shouldn't be hard. I think if
yeah,
you don't like
because
something,
like your feelings. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Tell me why you don't like it. Tell me
yeah,
what you're feeling about it. Whether or not it's just I feel like, let's say, oh, I didn't like the first Indiana Jones movie that much. You could ask
hmm
me why, and I could say, oh, I just didn't like it, or oh, I felt as if I didn't like it. Like, I could say it was because of the narrative didn't intrigue me. It didn't encapsulate me because of X, Y, Z, or because I
mm.
felt as if it was. I went in with too high expectations and I was let down. I felt that some of the locations weren't very fleshed out or realistic, even though it's like there's aliens in the fourth movie, so I don't know what I'm talking about. But and he survives a nuke in a fridge. But like, yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
just
does.
the that you always, even if you just said that, that's enough of a reason because you
Mm.
can. But it shouldn't be hard to be able to verbalize your point.
Not really.
If you
No,
can't verbalize an argument, then you're losing the argument.
people can't. I just hate when people cannot justify their opinions. That's my point. You
And
need
and that's a lot of the Nolan criticism. Just people
exactly.
not being
People are just
able to
like, I don't
justify
like
that
it
opinion.
because it's Nolan, or and I try not to. And I think a lot of people don't like Nolan as a person, which I could get in
He does have a
some
punchable
aspect.
face, but
And he does seem to be a very annoying person. Like, I remember he left Warner Brothers because they decided to put all their films on HBO Max and release them in cinemas because COVID was screwing everything up, and they're like, we can't delay these anymore. Which I think is the most reasonable thing to do. Be like, we'll put them in cinemas and on HBO Max at the same time because so everyone can see these movies. And then he got very upset, and then he left Warner Brothers because he didn't
it's
like
the
that.
death of cinema, and it's like, well,
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
well,
COVID's
yeah.
kind of screwing everything up. I think it's reasonable to be like, and it's not like they're not going in cinemas either. Like, these films are still being released in cinemas. It's
But
just there's
they're also
also
releasing it on HBO Max for people that
yeah,
don't want to risk. Like, but the people
because
that do want to
America,
risk, and yeah,
yeah, because I mean,
well,
America
America's
was
wild.
pretty terrible. America's not wasn't in a great place. So
Well,
obviously,
when is America in a great place? Let's not get geopolitical, but goddamn.
that is a fair point, but I do think there are criticisms to make of Nolan as a person, but I think people take that and carry that into his films. Like Tarantino. Tarantino's another one. We keep bringing up Tarantino, but I think a lot of people don't like Tarantino as a person, which I think is fairly reasonable. I'm not the biggest fan of the guy.
Apparently, he's a bit of a dick. Yeah,
Yeah, but like, he makes really good films. Stanley Kubrick, notoriously awful person to his actors. But I'd be willing to say he's the best director ever. Like, I would honestly say Stanley Kubrick is the best to ever do it. Like, that, just from my perspective, I think he's like on every
yeah,
level.
and yeah, you're allowed that opinion. I don't think he's not the best to ever do it, but I haven't come to a decisive decision on who is.
Yeah.
It depends on the type of film you regard as high quality. I really like Quentin Tarantino personally, but I also adore Edgar Wright as someone who is a
Yeah.
massive fan of comedy. I find
Mm.
Edgar Wright is the best comedy director to do it.
Yeah,
I don't think
I'd
anyone
say
has
that's
been other
fairly
besides
reasonable.
like besides like who else is gonna take that bloody what's his name?
The
The
Farrelly brothers,
no the dude. It was like he did all the Seth Rogen movies.
Judd Apatow
Judd Apatow, yeah. But even
or
then, like,
Adam McKay.
it's not a really
Yeah,
quality director as much as it is just
no,
like good comedy.
he's a guy. Yeah, um, but this has gone on a very long tangent. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Memento. Yeah, it's just a perfect movie on everything. Like it is. I cannot fault it at all. It's just what filmmaking is and what filmmaking should be. Just perfect script, great performances. Well, very good performances, not great. I wouldn't go as far as say great. I'd say very good performances. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's very good acting from sort of the main actors. You've got a brilliant gimmick. Just I mean, the log line of the film. Just like the story's just going backwards. It starts at the end, and the end of the film is the beginning of the story. Like that's a brilliant concept. And
Yeah.
you don't get as many high concept brilliant movies like that anymore. I don't think. Not to say there aren't
Yeah.
great movies
Now,
still
no,
being made.
nowadays you just get live action Jungle Book or like
Well, I
or a
like the live action
sequel.
Jungle Book, but yeah, no, I get your
No,
point,
but
and
you know what I mean. Like, yeah,
yeah,
I'm waiting to see an original film that does this.
yeah, like I can't. When was the last time I watched like a high concept film like this that was like
That
so
came out recently.
like I mean I guess like Bo Burnham's Inside
No,
is
but
arguably,
even
but
but
that's
no, but
sort of
even then, that's a high concept for a comedy special that isn't like. Yes, it is a film, but I feel as if I
yeah, it's
like yeah.
like let me just look at the films I've seen from the past from the 2020s just to see what was the last truly just brilliant film I saw like in terms of like what it's doing because
Bullet
like
Train was pretty good.
all of these are just like sequels basically or they're things I've seen I guess like Adult Swim Yule Log was pretty but not an amazing like brilliant concept but it's because it just becomes like a standard horror film at a certain point. I'm just looking through here. I
Everything
mean,
Everywhere All at Once tried to be high concept, but I feel like it
I,
fell flat on its face. That was me personally. I
I
wasn't a
don't think
huge
Everything
fan.
Everywhere deserves the love it got. I think it's
Yeah,
a
I'm
good
exactly the
film.
same.
We talked about this in our Oscars episode, but I think Everything Everywhere is a good movie, but all the elements I've seen done better. I've seen multiverse stuff done better several times over. I've seen better family dynamic. All the stuff in that I've seen done better
Yeah,
before. And I still think that's a really good film, but I just don't think it's
yeah,
worth all the praise that it's getting that it got.
yeah.
Because
I think I feel like it was Bullet Train. It was so ambitious. The perspectives within that film is beautiful. Those who know there is one particular perspective that is shown throughout that film that is quite just artistically beautiful. And if you know, you
I'm just
know.
looking through. I mean, I guess maybe like I don't know. Sound of Metal was kind of was I liked what Sound of Metal was doing, but it's not like a brilliant. It's a good concept, but like I haven't had a film recently, like a new film where I'm like, this is just an insanely incredible. I sort of get that more with TV than movies now. I like TV is a much greater breeding ground, I guess, of just
Yeah.
brilliant concepts. Like, look, I
Always
know
Sunny in
people,
Philadelphia, sort of.
yeah, or I know people are very mixed on the show, but I think a lot of what Rick and Morty does is quite real, is like really cool with what its like
Yeah.
concepts are. But even then, like a lot of what they've done was just done on Futurama, but better. Like and I think yeah, you just don't get as many great films with brilliant concepts like Memento anymore. And I know a lot of people who give multiple films a 10 out of 10 every year, like new release films, and I'm like, No. That is like 10 out of 10s should be very sparing. You shouldn't just be giving them out to every film you see because it devalues what that rating means, you
Oh
know?
yeah, but you know when I give an 11 out of 10, that should bust him.
Yes.
Like an 11 for me is it goes above and beyond the Call of Duty, and it really is something special. 10, I feel like 9 is a great film. Like 10 is one of the perfect films, and I think an 11 is above and beyond.
Yeah, I
Um,
think like a 9 out of 10. Like, I think most ratings people should give for films should be between like a 7 and an 8 out of 10. Like, I think that's fairly reasonable. Then you have, like a few nines. You like maybe a decent number of nines, and then you've got like 50 or so 10 out of 10s, give or take. Um, and then, but like 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, I feel like is what most films should be rated from people. Like, I think that's reasonable. Um, I think if the most of like if you look at like Letterboxd and most of your films on Letterboxd have a 10, you're doing something wrong. you
yeah,
know, like I'm just looking. So on Letterboxd, I've got 371 8 out of 10s and 307 7 out of 10s, and those are my two highest ratings. So I think that
I'm not
reason.
really on Letterboxd because I don't have the patience. Yeah,
I
I think
mean,
personally, this film, first time ever watching it, I'm just gonna jump to rating for Memento
yeah.
because it's this shit's an 11, dude. I don't know if it's in my top. I don't
Whoa.
know if it's in my top 10 films
Shit.
of all time. Because it's quite a tight list. Plus, my top 10 films are much more about like films I just enjoy watching, and are less about like
Mm,
creative brilliance. But if we're just judging it on creative like ability and quality
mm.
of film, and less about like how much I just purely enjoy watching it,
Yeah,
then this is like top 10 definitely.
yeah. I mean, when I put together my list of I've got a list of my 100 favorite films. Um, I mean, do you want me to just quickly run through what my top 10 is currently at the time of recording? It's the beginning of
Yeah,
July when we're recording this. The number 10, Seven
yeah.
is the film Seven. Number 9, The Matrix. Number 8, you're not gonna like this. You're gonna disagree with me on this one, I think. The Nightmare Before Christmas.
I it's not that good though. Like it's just like if you enjoy
It,
watching it, fine, but it's not that great of a film. Like every time I watch it, it's my least favorite Christmas movie. And that's not to say it's bad. That's not to say
whoa.
it's bad. It's just out of
No,
the Christmas
no,
movies my
no,
family watches. Like
no.
again, that's not to say it's a bad film. It's just the one I enjoyed watching the
Mm.
least when I used to live at home and watch Christmas films. Come Christmas season, living away from home, I do not watch that movie. It is not a Christmas film to me.
Yeah, number 7, Little Shop of Horrors. The director's cut specifically. The director's cut is very good. We may have to cover it on the show so you can watch it. And if you do ever watch it, watch the director's cut. That's much better. Number 6, Hot Fuzz. I mean, it's my favorite Edgar Wright film. Like it's just Edgar Wright being the best at what he does.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
Number
peak.
5, Stand By Me. I love Stand By Me. Number 4, Collateral. Collateral's a great film. Covered it on the show as well. Number 3, Her. Another
Yep.
great film. Number 2, Fight Club. I don't give a fuck. Fight Club is a perfect movie. You can't fault Fight Club. Covered it on the show as well. Go listen to that
Oh, I
episode.
adore
Like,
Fight Club. Fight Club's all time.
I can't. And number 1, Memento. It's my favorite film. I don't give a fuck. You can't fault it. Any faults that people can present about it are just nitpicking bullshit. Memento is a 10 out of 10. My favorite film, and it's been that way for nearly 4 years now. It has not changed in 4 years. I don't care. It is just what film should be. It is
Yeah.
just the best of filmmaking. It's a great film. I love it. It's a shame Barney isn't here because I think he'd probably offset us slightly. I think he likes it slightly less than we do, but he's still a big fan. But we'll get his thoughts on it next week when he's on, presumably.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, moving on to Insomnia. I did not see this one, unfortunately, so I can't really give my thoughts on this one.
I watched
But
it at the start of at the start of the week, so it's Sunday now, so it's almost been a full 7 days, and I don't know if this is an attribute to the film itself, but I don't remember much.
Yeah,
I remember.
so
I'll
it's
break
got
it
Al
down.
Pacino and Robin Williams are in it.
Yeah. No, I remember. I remember a few things. A few things to touch on. Firstly, before we get into it, is the budget. 46 million. It's his biggest budget film to date, and he was basically
46
brought in.
million? Jesus.
And he was basically brought into this film as a. There's a lot of helicopter shots.
Of course. Oh yeah, because
Like
Memento is
that sort of
very.
stuff.
I just want to say that about
Handy-cam.
Memento. So I love how handheld it looks. I really love that. I really like watching low budget films, and you can just see that they've just got some guy just holding a camera. There's not many stationary, but I think that works with Memento because it's like it's very there's lots of just like quick edits. I think it works very well in Memento. So
So this
he was not the
film,
writer on this one.
No, he was almost strictly a director for hire. So he was dealing with someone else's story, especially considering this is a remake of a film. And also, Christopher Nolan, a lot of his Nolanisms come within the creating of the screenplay. Whereas
so it doesn't feel like a Nolan film.
Shot. No, this feels. It doesn't help that this film is very much one of the genre. The genre of police detective goes to an Alaskan town to investigate the killing of a teenage girl. That is,
it's one of those.
Like you could name hundreds of films.
Like a police officer
like
just goes to like just goes to like a place that's a bit different.
Foreign land, like doesn't have to be foreign, but like
it's like
goes
the Wicker
to
Man
new area. Teenage girl has been murdered, and then there's some reason
Sounds
as
like the
to
Wicker
why.
Yeah.
Whereas
so
like
it's Al Pacino who's the.
Yeah, Al Pacino plays Will Dormer, who's the detective from out of town. We also have Hilary Swank, who I believe
Hilary's wank. Funny.
No, I believe they play a local cop who's in over their head and has never dealt with anything because they're just from a quiet Alaskan town. And then you have Robin Williams, who plays, I believe it's Walter Finch, and this.
I'm just looking. Yes, Walter Finch is the Robin Williams character. Yeah.
I do want to touch on Robin Williams' character in a second, but I think this film hits all the bases quite well. It's just a perfectly okay, fine. It's all the performances are fine. The story's fine. The whole narrative is pretty much he goes into this. We find out pretty early on who the killer is within the film. Like you find out almost straight away who the killer is. And a lot of it is most of the film, and this is what sets it apart from that genre, is the genre is a police detective killing a teenage girl, but he's facing adversity. In this case, due to Alaska constantly having sun in the season for 24 hours a day, he can't sleep and he has insomnia and his mind's degrading. But what sets this apart is not about him trying to find the killer while his mind's degrading, but his relationship with the killer. Like he finds out who the killer is, and then the film focuses much more on their relationship and how that is affecting him while he can't mentally sort of formulate anything because he has no sleep. And Robin Williams' character is the killer, and I've never seen such a stark, striking character from Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Robin Williams is usually Peter Pan. He's usually
he's usually a very warm presence. He's a very he's an inherently likable man.
He's the professor in Good Will Hunting. That's
he's
Robin
the dad
Williams to me.
He's in
the
Jumanji.
genie.
Yeah, he's the genie. Yeah, he's a very likable man, and he's basically the villain. Like if he's the killer, he's effective.
Great performance.
I've heard his performance in it is very. It's very like Robin Williams is one of those actors where
it's similar to Jim Carrey in a sense where they can create such a warm presence on screen, but if they go negative, it's so chilling and so Like,
Exactly. Like that
yeah,
that classic comedic actor is able to create a very great
unnerving.
dramatic performance and be really unnerving. Like
Yeah,
I think that's the sign of a great comedic actor where they're able to be such a warm presence, so likable, you just love watching them do funny things, and then they're able to turn that around and be a just as equally intimidating and capable villain. I think that's the sign of a good. Tom Cruise is kind of like that, where he's generally a good guy in most of his films, but he's able to become a villain very easily, and he's
yeah,
very good at it. I think that's a sign of a very great actor.
yeah, and that's the standout of this film for me. I don't have much to touch on it besides what I wanted to speak was about Robin Williams' performance. That's the
Hmm.
main key I remember. Yeah, they're just big city detectives coming to like Alaska to solve this murder, and Robin Williams' character is playing this game of is playing a game with him, is toying with him, is this cat and mouse. It's great, and it does set itself apart from the genre, I believe, and it doesn't get as much love as a lot of other Nolan films. That being said, it is quite
Yeah.
forgettable. Like I understand why it doesn't get as much love. I don't think it's criminally underrated. It does have like a 92 on Rotten Tomatoes, so
Mm.
like it is rated quite highly. It's just I don't think it's known nearly as much as any other Nolan films.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I unfortunately did not get a chance to watch it, so I can't really come in with any real discussion on it
yeah,
as
it's that, and it's
well.
also the cinematography within this film is insane. It's some of the most
Mm.
beautiful shots, and that's an attribute to not only the crew, but also just like Alaska and how
Yeah,
beautiful it
yeah.
looks there. It is such a geographically like stunning area,
You know what?
and
Yeah, I've heard about Nolan is that apparently he doesn't write out shot lists. He doesn't like there's no shot list for his cinematographer.
so he just does them.
But yeah, he basically just tells them like this is the shot I want, which must be like because we've both done film work.
Yeah,
We've both worked on productions of shorts and everything. And when I did it at high school, we had like a full on shot list. Like this is all we're gonna be doing this. Like it.
well, I found as soon as I transitioned more into university and less of that short film throughout high school, and when I was doing short films through university, it became a lot more. Don't read it off a sheet and just do what I'm telling you to do.
I mean, Nolan's got those weird sort of eccentricities to him, he loves, and he uses. We haven't really touched on the score of any of Nolan's films because, like, I don't really think there is much of anything of note in Following or Memento. Is there much
Yeah, no, not really, not particularly. The best,
in
like
Insomnia? There's not a whole
the
lot,
original
really.
score is quite like it's quite good in this film, but it doesn't like stand out
It's
to me. It's not Interstellar.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's
yeah.
it. I give it like an 8. I think it's perfectly
Oh, nice.
sound. Like it's perfect. Like it hits all its bases quite well, and it does stand apart. But it is forgettable. That's my issue.
Yeah.
Like it could be a higher film, and I still think it's a great film.
But yeah, and we're moving on to the final film of this part, Batman Begins, the beginning of the Dark Knight trilogy, and the beginning of a trilogy that many would say is the greatest sort of superhero series ever. I
Yeah,
know a
except
lot of
not at all.
people are very no, I don't think it's that great. There's like one really great film in the trilogy, and then the other two
I
are
like
kind
the
of.
first one.
I just know a lot of people. Well, to be honest, I think a lot of people who love the Dark Knight trilogy love Batman, and they will just lap up
I
Batman
think no, but the
content.
best part about the Dark Knight trilogy, the best part, is Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah, and
Um,
I mean that's in the second
and
film.
also
So
Michael Caine's Alfred is like I love Michael Caine's Alfred.
I
Like I
really
just
like Michael Caine just in general. I think Michael Caine's a very good
love Michael Caine.
presence. Yeah, but so yeah, Batman Begins. After Batman and Robin was terrible. They didn't make any Batman films for a while. just because people didn't like Batman and Robin. So they went for a dark, sort of gritty reboot, which now just seems kind of like what people do with superheroes. But this was sort of like
Yeah.
the early days where Batman became like a serious character again. And I think I couldn't really be bothered to rewatch Batman Begins. I don't dislike the film at all. I just don't. I
It was a
find
good
a
movie to
lot
go
of
to bed to.
yeah. I think the thing is the discourse around because you've said I don't know if you said on the show, but you've definitely said to me that you hate Batman. You think Batman's a terrible
I think
character.
he's the worst superhero character I've ever read. And I
And do
say
you want
read.
to explain why don't you like that?
I
Because I don't
liked
know if I've
I
ever
liked the cartoon a little bit growing up. I really liked,
the
like, I
animated
remember I had it,
series.
yeah, the animated series I had on
Yeah,
my,
it's a
I
great
had
show. Yeah.
the Blu-rays growing up. But
Mm.
other than that, like, Batman is a character, and as a character, I feel like is so overloved for literally just a man. He's a man with money, but without the
Yeah.
intelligence of Tony Stark. He's smart, but he's not as smart as like Tony Stark. He's not Iron Man. He's not, but he's treated as invincible. The idea that he could beat Superman realistically, give him a million years of prep time, I still don't think he beats Superman. Like have fun mining all that kryptonium. Like, fucking hell, dude. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. He's so ridiculously, like, strong and overpowered for someone who's not supposed to be super. And, oh, he's the best, even though he's not super. So killable. Literally a bullet. Literally a bullet. It killed his parents. It could kill him. Like, all the Joker has to do is hire someone. Also, he's completely hire someone who doesn't look like a criminal, and then Bruce Wayne's like just walking and just bang, dead. Like, oh, there's Batman. Like, it's not that fucking hard. Like that, or like, and it's so obvious that Bruce Wayne is Batman because who contracted them to build a cave under his fucking house? And then it's like, oh, it's clearly not Batman. Like, of course he's Batman. And he tells it to everyone as well. Like, he lets everyone know that he's Batman in this trilogy. It's ridiculous. And the last thing is that, like, Batman in the Lego Batman series is amazing because it's just played off for laughs. But, like, he's so like, I'm sad and broody and upset. And I'm like, oh, I just have more depth to your character than just upset. Like, I'm so sick of being like his character just being like revengeful and rageful. And the idea he's insane. He's an insane man because he lets these people that wreak havoc on the street of Gotham, the Joker, Penguin, all of these villains that kill people and like destroy people's lives and livelihoods in the city. He just goes, maybe this time if I lock them up in prison, they won't break out like they did the last 50 times. Kill them. And like, I know you don't, Batman doesn't kill people, but kill them. Like, get over it. Like, it really annoys me because I'm like, how do you justify this character? And how can you say, oh, he's so cool and he's so epic? And it's like, no, he's literally such a beta. He's just a rich boy who's upset. Get over it. That's my thing. There are so many faults with his character, and he gets given so much, like, he gets given so much. And then people go on about how great he is. And then I'm like, Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps. Like, or not particularly that, but like he has nothing on Spider-Man or fucking any other superhero.
I think Bruce Wayne is a very boring character.
Yeah, but
I think a lot of people
like when you bring Robin into it. Robin is much more. Robin brings a lot of depth to the Batman character.
I think, a lot of people don't.
He's overrated, is my thing.
I think Batman as a character. Yeah, it's just like people love Batman, and I'm just like, he's good, but I don't think he's that great. Like, I think a lot of people, love. I just don't get. People who love Bruce Wayne confuse me because he's such a boring. He's just like Iron Man, but Iron Man is interesting because, well, first of all, he's played by Robert Downey Jr. Okay, like and he's a very engaging, charismatic actor, but none of the Bruce Waynes have ever been particularly engaging. as like just Bruce Wayne, you know. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, we've got Christian Bale, and I think Christian Bale is a phenomenal actor. He seems
Yeah.
very mental though, just changing his body for every film. You know, getting really ripped and then really skinny, then really
Oh,
ripped and really
I
fat.
like, and I quite liked Batman Begins. For someone who's not a Batman fan and could be known as a Batman hater, I
Mm.
love this movie. Like, I really enjoyed myself watching it because I enjoyed Christian Bale just working out for the first hour. I like the way it tells the story where it's not instant Batman. Like, and I also like Michael Caine and some of the other. Like, I like an early silly like Cillian Murphy in it. I don't know. I just enjoy it.
Mm.
Like, you can enjoy it for what it is and not get hung up on the Batman character, but um, and I enjoy it because of the way it leads into the Dark Knight. But I don't think it's some crazy good superhero
Yeah,
film.
I mean, yeah, no, I definitely think The Dark Knight is much better. It's like The Dark Knight is an well, I've not watched it recently, so my opinions may change when I rewatch it. But I think The Dark Knight is a fantastic film. Yeah, my thing with Nolan is I think a lot of people are into Batman and they're really into his Batman films. Even though like I don't really get why people love them so much. Like I
I like them fundamentally. Like, I like the idea that Batman has to be able to get over his like not only his like grief but also his guilt, his fears to become Batman. I think that's quite good and whatnot. But I don't
I think
think it.
Batman could
They
be
don't do.
interesting
They
as
don't
a
do
character.
anything like they don't do anything that breaks the mold with this film, and people act like it's God's piss, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I don't get that. It's so strange, and you know, I mean, there's more to talk about with the film. I think the film just doesn't. Yeah, from my memory of it, I just didn't really get into what it was doing. Like, I don't think the villains are particularly. I don't think Liam Neeson's a particularly great actor, and I don't really think Ra's al Ghul, in the way he's portrayed in the films, is particularly engaging as a villain.
I like Liam
Um,
Neeson more in comedies
yeah, I
when
think
he's
he's all right in
playing.
comedies. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't.
because like he plays that serious character very slapstick. But the problem is
Mhm.
he does it slapstick in serious films as well, and then that's where it doesn't work. But
Yeah. I like. We've also got Cillian Murphy, who's in most of Nolan's films. Going to be in Oppenheimer. As Scarecrow, who he feels very uh well, not unnecessary. He doesn't reach his full potential.
development,
But
yeah.
yeah, but I like Cillian Murphy as an actor. I think he's a very solid talent.
He obviously very, very, very great. If you've watched the Peaky Blinders, Thomas
Mm.
Shelby.
Yeah, there's is it Katie Holmes? She plays Rachel Dawes or
I
whatever
think
her name is.
so.
I don't honestly, one of my biggest problems with superhero films in general is the love story. I don't care. I don't care about that. That doesn't do anything for me. Like
Okay,
the
okay.
only
I have a question for you. What about the love story in Sam Raimi's Spider Man? Because this trilogy is often compared to that trilogy as like the two greatest.
um I'd
Like,
s- I'd s- I'd say the Raimi trilogy works.
but I think that's because Peter Parker's like that like the love story is directly affecting. Like, I don't
I
know.
th-
It feels
I think
different
yeah,
for some
it's
reason.
more integral to Peter Parker as a character.
Yeah,
And it's much more focused on. Whereas I think a lot of superhero films just sort of have it in the background, and then there's just a moment at the end where the two leads kiss, and then that's it. It
yeah,
generally, you know, I mean, I think the Gwen Stacy Peter stuff in the Amazing Spider-Man films also works
yeah.
relatively
Because
well.
they're best friends in those though. Like, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I think generally love stories in superhero films don't work. I don't think any of the MCU love stories have worked for me at all.
None of them.
I can't think of any. I mean, I guess Pepper and Tony is
Yeah, that's
alright,
exactly the one I was thinking of. Was that
but
or like?
besides,
I think the MJ Peter one in No Way Home was okay.
in No Way Home, it works a bit better, but it doesn't really work in the prior films.
Yeah, no, you've got a great point. When it comes to sort of love stories, they tried to do something with like Black Widow and Hulk, but
Yeah, I mean, I guess the Guardians film. Actually, I think Guardian the Star-Lord and Gamora. I mean, that's beyond the God. I mean, that goes into Infinity War as well, I guess. But I think that works decently well. Like, it works better than most of them do. But yeah, just in general, I'm not the biggest fan of love stories in general. I don't particularly care for in superhero films. I don't like. I find origin stories to be very boring sometimes. You
they
know,
they
there's
can they can drag. Yeah,
because you've got the first hour or so just as setup, and it's just like, oh, get on with it. Just give this person their fucking powers or whatever,
yeah.
or
See, and
whatever.
that's what Sam Raimi's trilogy does so well. In the first 10 minutes of the film, with every character we need is developed, and he's been bitten by the spider.
Yeah, and plus
Like,
I
yeah,
think, to sort of touch on that, I guess I think that first Raimi Spider-Man film is a great example of how to do an origin story for a superhero. We meet all the major characters within the first 10-15 minutes. We meet Peter, MJ, Harry,
Ben,
Norman, May,
Aunt
Ben.
May.
We meet all those characters that we need that will be integral throughout the film. We meet them all, and Peter gets bitten and he gets the powers within the first 15 minutes or
10,
whatever.
yeah, 15. Like, it's about the 10 minute mark is when he gets bit. Like,
Yeah,
that's
and
all
then
you
about
need. And then the rest of the movie is him learning his powers. Not
yeah,
like I do think that this film does the origin story quite well by focusing on like Bruce Wayne's discipline and training and like showing why Batman is powerful. I actually enjoyed that, but at the same time, he's
it
still
goes
a
on for a
guy.
bit from my memory. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of him training
Oh,
and
it's the first hour, I think, of the film.
oh fuck, that's too long. You don't need to spend that much time like
Yeah.
establishing an origin for a character, you know. Like I think Marvel the MCU, I think they at some of time sometimes they're very efficient with their establishment of characters. Like I think the first Guardians film, we see Peter as a kid and that's it really. Like
Yeah.
and that's only like a few minutes, but we spend a good bit of time, learning, with uh Captain America and Iron Man and that and Hulk. They sort of I mean Hulk is Hulk like at the beginning, like Bruce
Yeah.
Banner is the Hulk
Oh
for the
no,
whole
I mean the
film. Yeah,
Incredible Hulk is part of the MCU, but no one cares. Like it's not really.
yeah. Um, but yeah, Batman Begins. I guess we should talk about the music because Hans Zimmer did the
Oh
score and he's
yeah,
worked with Hans Zimmer for most of his films. I really like Hans Zimmer as a filmmaker
I'm a big
as a
Hans Zimmer guy.
but I think I think part of the problem I have with Hans Zimmer now is he kind of is just doing the same thing over and over again now. I think before that I mean, The Lion King I think is an incredible film, and Hans Zimmer's music in that is wonderful. I think his work on Rain Man, which I watched recently, I think the score for Rain Man is uh like truly remarkable. But then more recently with Hans Zimmer's work, his recent Nolan films, which we'll get into later, Dune, all these. I'm just sort of like he's not as great. Let's see, what is the most recent? So he's Dune and Dune Part Two. He did the score. He did the score for Top Gun Maverick. Apparently, I did not know
It's
that.
okay. It was actually good. I actually enjoyed it. The score for Top Gun
Well,
Maverick was
he
quite
did
good.
some of let's see, No Time to Die. Obviously, yeah, he does Bond. He did Wonder Woman 1984. I hope he's doing the new Kung Fu Panda because I think he did the other ones, and the Kung Fu Panda
Oh, the
music
Kung Fu
is
Panda scores are insane. They're actually some of the best in animated films.
yeah, and I mean that's relatively recent music as well. Like, but I mean, yeah, the Kung Fu Panda music, it like some of the scores in that is uh, just like incredible.
Phenomenal,
Like,
dude.
there's some
Yeah, I
wonderful pieces of music.
Yeah, oh, I think it's Ty's theme in the third film where it's bum bang bang dong dong
I
bang
love the
bang
main.
bang.
I mean,
Like,
probably one of my favorite pieces of music is when Uruguay like dies. I guess.
dies.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
it
there's
goes to the spirit realm or
it
whatever
goes to
you
the spirit
call it.
realm. Yeah, and there's just it's a wonderful sort of Asian sort of cult. It's wonderful. It's like and that's sort of the thing that kind of upsets me more with Hans Zimmer is he's still capable of creating wonderful music. Like the score for the Kung Fu Panda films, those films are relatively new. The third one came out 2016. And hopefully he's doing the score for the fourth one, which comes out next year. So we will be
Yeah,
hopefully, provided it doesn't get delayed, we will be covering Kung Fu Panda on the show next year, and I'm really looking forward to that actually because I'm a big fan of the Kung Fu Panda films.
favorite
So
animated trilogy.
yeah, and I think that I like Zimmer's Batman music. I think a lot of what the music he does for this is good. And some nice pieces there. I don't think it's his best work or anything, but I think there is a lot of nice compositions throughout. But yeah, I think more recent, like with Interstellar, I'm not the biggest fan of the Interstellar music, but that's just my opinion on that.
I mean, I'm gonna let. We'll get to that. We'll get to it next week.
We'll get to it, yeah. I mean, I don't have like that much. Just this is weird because I was looking. I don't have as much. I think it's just with two of us, and we kind of don't remember these films as well. I'm less
Yeah,
bothered about. I mean, this is sort
you
of the
just sort of
weaker,
like it's just a good. It's just like it's okay. It's a good okay origin.
yeah.
But
But like,
I enjoyed watching it. Like
mm,
just less as a Batman film or a superhero film, and more as just like some guy training. Like I was just like, yeah,
yeah,
I can watch 2 hours of this.
yeah. No, I think it. Yeah, but this week, I like next week is going to be a much longer one because there's a lot more to talk about with those films. Like I think there's a lot more that we can get into with the sort of the second part of this. Um, but I mean, I don't have much to say. I give Batman Begins a 7 out of 10. I think it's a perfectly decent film.
Yeah, I'm the exact same. I'd give it a 7. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a perfectly like it's a movie.
it
Like that's what I
is a movie. But yeah, that's this week's episode. A bit of a shorter one this week, surprisingly. Apologies, but next week I presume will be longer because hopefully there'll be three of us. Plus, I've got a lot to say about the films that we'll be covering next week. Both good and bad things. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. Check out all the previous episodes. I think this is episode 121. I think,
I wouldn't
give or
know.
take. I'm not
I don't
entirely
pay
sure.
attention to the numbers. I just pay attention to the film.
Yeah, but thank you, Harry, for joining me for this week's episode. Hopefully, you'll be
Not a
back next
problem.
week so we can continue this because there's a lot to talk about with Nolan as a filmmaker, and some of his films you haven't seen apparently, which I'm very interested in getting your thoughts on them. Like Memento this weekend, at least one of the films that we'll be covering next week. You said you haven't seen, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, I
But
haven't
yeah,
seen.
thank you all so much. Thank you so much for listening to this one, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.